Everyone, I'd like to call this meeting of the Sterling Heights City Council to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them courage and wisdom to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Riska. Can we please have the roll call?
Taylor?
Here.
Mrs. Sarowski?
Here.
Mrs. Koski?
Present.
Mr. Radke?
Present.
Mrs. Schmidt?
Present.
Mrs. Jimenez?
Here.
Mrs. Yerkes?
Present.
Thank you, Council. We need approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item on our agenda tonight is a report from our city manager, Mark Vanderpool. Mr. Vanderpool.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to remind everyone that our city offices will be closed on Friday for Veterans Day. This will not, however, change our refuse collection schedule, so that will not be impacted. Most importantly, I wanted to remind everyone that the annual Veterans Day ceremony will be held this upcoming Saturday, November the 11th, on Veterans Day at the Community Center. The ceremony is hosted by our Community Relations Department in collaboration with many of our local veterans groups, and we're very grateful for their support. A presentation and ceremony emceed by 41A District Court Chief Judge and Desert Storm veteran Stephen Sarowski will be followed by refreshments. We'll also have a keynote speaker, Doug Odie Slocum. Some of you may know him. He's an outstanding speaker. He's a retired Brigadier General from Commanding General of the 127th Wing and the Selfridge Air National Guard Base. So we're really honored to have General Slocum. And if you haven't heard him speak yet, we strongly urge you to attend the ceremony this year. He's really outstanding. We're also going to have remarks from Mayor Taylor, Congressman John James, and a representative from the governor's office as well. So the event, again, is at 11 o'clock at our community center on Saturday. It's open to the public. There's no charge, of course, and we look forward to seeing all of you there. Thank you. And also another important event coming up, our Sterling Heights Area Community Foundation is holding its 11th annual Signature Gala, putting on the Ritz at Villa Penna on Friday, November 17th, so a week from this upcoming Friday from 6 to 11. Each year, the gala recognizes exemplary leaders in Sterling Heights and throughout the county who demonstrate outstanding civic leadership and community support. And this year, the foundation is honoring Dr. James Sawyer, who's the president of Macomb Community College, for all he has done and continues to do to build and strengthen higher education in Sterling Heights and throughout the county. And proceeds from the gala support various activities of the foundation, not the least of which includes their very reputable long-standing scholarship program. So if you're interested in attending the gala, feel free to visit our website. You can get much more information, and it's a great event, so if you have any thoughts of attending, we strongly encourage you to do so. And Mayor, in the very near future at an upcoming meeting, I look forward to giving an update on all of our road projects that are rapidly coming to a conclusion for the year. Thank goodness. That's the good news. The bad news is we have another really busy season next year that we're planning on right now and programming, and it'll surely be one of our biggest years ever, including lots of sidewalk gaps and trailway systems and so on that we're programming for next year. So much more to come on that topic at the ensuing meetings and at our strategic planning session. And that is all for my report this evening. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vanderpool. That's a good sign when we get the city manager's report done in under 5 minutes. It was meant as a compliment. Thank you again. So next item on our agenda is a public hearing. This is a public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution supporting and authorizing the submission of the application by the City of Sterling Heights for a conversion of grant-assisted property for purposes of a public road inside Puffin Park located at 34601 Viceroy Drive, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48310. We have a presentation from our Parks and Recreation Director, Kyle Langlois, and our city planner, Dr. Jake Parcell. Gentlemen, are we going to start with Mr. Langlois?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Taylor, members of council, and all gathered here this evening. The public hearing tonight is in regards to a partial conversion of property at Puffin Park, as you heard from the mayor, which is located just south of 15 Mile on Viceroy Drive. Although the agenda statement has quite a bit of information and backup material, I wanted to provide some context information again before we open up for public comment. Consistent with the development of our park system decades ago, Puffin Park was developed in the early 1970s with federal grant funds from the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which requires the city to keep the park available for public outdoor recreation in perpetuity. For reference, 19 grants have been received to acquire and develop park property and other parkland over the years in Sterling Heights, which includes Puffin Park. The request for a partial conversion in Puffin Park first came into concept and discussion in 2020 when a developer, Clearview Homes, LLC, approached the city about the potential to install a city-owned road through Puffin Park off Viceroy. This new road would replace the access off Coper Drive to the former site of Warner Elementary School, which is no longer in existence, and would be the new connection point to a proposed housing development. Whenever there is a desired use that is inconsistent with the grant requirements that I listed above, we are required to go through a process called a conversion. As required by grant guidelines, a conversion of property requires the provision of mitigating land of equal or greater size, equal or greater recreation value, and equal or greater appraised value in order to be considered for approval by the National Park Service. If the conversion is approved, the section of land is ultimately removed from the grant-assisted park boundaries. Now, for clarification, we don't remove that section of land from the park proper. Rather, we remove that parcel of land from the scope for grant reporting purposes. So it's just not within the boundaries of what is approved in the grant. Before getting to this point tonight, city staff and Clearview Homes have gone through a variety of due diligence tasks to gauge the feasibility of this partial conversion in order to meet the requirements that we spoke of above. First, we had conceptual plan discussions and received preliminary approval to proceed with next steps from the National Park Service and the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. Second, we have completed multiple federally approved Yellow Book appraisals, which were included in the support documents. Those are a higher level standard appraisal for any federal grant-assisted property. And third, we have promoted via public notice in the newspaper and on our website that we were hosting a 30-day public review and comment period on this proposal. As of this meeting, and it's been over 30 days, we've received no comments in the folder at the community center, nor have I received any phone calls or emails either in favor or opposed to this plan. And of course, we are in progress of our public hearing tonight. So speaking of the plan, I have highlighted in yellow the proposed partial conversion area, also known as the public roadway, equaling 0.256 acres towards the northern boundary of the park. In addition, I've highlighted in green the hatched mitigation area equaling 0.56 acres, so 0.3 acres more, along the southern and western boundaries that would be conveyed to the city in return. This mitigation parcel, as you heard, is not only greater in size, but it also has equivalent recreational value, with it being contiguous to the existing parkland and providing a southern access point to the park that was previously not city-owned property. Considering this enhanced access, it would be easy to argue even greater recreational value for the park and the existing neighborhood. Equally as important, the appraisals identified that the financial value of the mitigation parcel exceeds that of the roadway value by $65,000, which means that all land value criteria has been met. At the conclusion of this public hearing, and if the resolution of support is adopted by City Council, we will be completing the architectural and archaeological reviews with our established contractor, who we do have under contract. We will also be preparing the compliance and stewardship and environmental impact forms that are required with our final application, with the goal to submit that final application for partial conversion by the end of the 2023 calendar year. Based on information I've received, we should then expect a time frame of about 3 to 6 months for review and ruling by the National Park Service. As a brief aside to this conversation, and assuming approval of this partial conversion, the city development team will continue to work with Clearview Homes to develop the 10.38 acre site into a single-family residential site where Warner Elementary was formerly located. The development will include on-site detention, roadways, sidewalks, and private utilities. The proposed development is permitted by right in the underlying zoning district, therefore only requiring administrative review. I also want to highlight that the development agreement, which was brought to council on December 1st, 2020, includes the commitment of funds by Clearview Homes in the amount of $120,000 for park amenities and in-kind labor to create an internal path loop within the park. Ultimately, this project in total would result in additional available housing for our community, a larger park footprint, and the development of a currently underdeveloped park site. In closing, and despite the above-noted housing and park development information, I respectfully want to remind all in attendance that the public hearing comments should be directed only towards the partial conversion of a roadway inside Puffin Park and the mitigation parcel as shown again on the map. Although this partial conversion is directly a result of the development agreement and the noted housing plan, comments on anything but the specific details of this partial conversion have no bearing on the actual proposal, final application, and resolution that is before City Council for consideration this evening. Dr. Parcell and I will be here to answer any questions or provide any clarification as needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Langlois. Dr. Parcell, anything?
Nope, I'm just here in case there's any questions on the site plan review process for the proposed single-family home development.
Understood. Thank you both. Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, I will close the public hearing, and council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Sarowski.
resolved to adopt the resolution supporting and authorizing the submission of the application by the City of Sterling Heights for a conversion of grant-assisted property for purposes of a public road inside Puffin Park located at 34601 Viceroy Drive, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48310.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
Just a couple of comments, Mayor Taylor. I do think that this is a fair, if you will, trade of properties to make the public access road available to the developer. I think that this is a great opportunity to get that development underway. And so I do not see any issues with the roadway, and I'm happy to have this approved. No other comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? Mr. Radke.
Briefly, Mr. Mayor, I am in favor of this conversion. I think it brings a lot of resources to the park that has been neglected over the years by the city because of where it's at and monetary issues. My one concern is I see that we're putting in the public roadway. I guess through the chair to Dr. Parcell, will they be putting sidewalk on both sides of this roadway that they're putting in? Because on the map, it has sidewalk on the one side.
That's the map that I've seen at this point in time. The site plan for the revised parcel shown on the left side of the screen has interior sidewalk on both sides that then connects to the trail into the parkway. But I'm happy to make that comment, and when we meet with Clearview for some revisions, bring it up.
That's something that I care about, sidewalk on both sides. But other than that, I think it's going to be fine. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? With no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you both. Appreciate the presentation and information. Next up tonight is our consent agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Mr. Mazur?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. council, everyone else who's present. My name is Michael Mazer, and I am part of the Sterling Heights Community Alliance. I'd like to thank you all for appointing me to that, I think just under about a year ago. This is my first time speaking at a city council meeting, and it's a real pleasure to be here and talk about something positive today. I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Community Alliance in support of designating November as Native American Heritage Month. That is not a group I identify with. So when I agreed to speak here, I had to think about it for a minute. Thinking about how ignorant I was in my own life. You think of things like sports teams' names, or the movie Pocahontas, or casinos, or just American history full of violence, exploitation, and all sorts of tragedies that I have no personal connection to. But I speak to you as a Greek and Polish, the grandson of those Greek and Polish immigrants. And while I love Greek food, that's not all there is about Greece. Polka music is fun, but there's more to Poland than that. And both of those countries have their own histories of exploitation, but of course the people are much more resilient and interesting than just that tragedy in their history. So I encourage everyone on council and everyone in the city of Sterling Heights to think about Native Americans this month with curiosity and humility. Think about their artwork, think about their food, think about thousands of years of American history and even Sterling Heights history. Take that curiosity and go to 16 and Dodge Park to see our newest historical marker. Walk up the street to the library and check out a book about something you've never heard. I was lucky enough to go to Michigan State for law school, which has a pretty robust tribal law program. One of my professors was actually a tribal law judge. And as you talk to these people, you see them operating in the real world in 2016 or whatever year it was. You realize that Native Americans are not just stuck in the past. They constitute thousands of years of American history, but they're also the present and the future of our country and our city. So again, on behalf of the Community Alliance, please support designating November as Native American Heritage Month. And let's all be curious, let's all be humble, and let's all learn a few things. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Very well said, appreciate that. Anyone else on any item on the consent agenda? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. Koski.
move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is a consideration item, and this is to consider a request to transfer ownership of a 2023 Class C liquor license with SDM license, existing Sunday sales PM permit, and new Sunday sales PM permit from Pecano Enterprises Incorporated to Alara Enterprises LLC. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Resolved that the request to transfer ownership of the 2023 Class C liquor license with SDM license, existing Sunday sales PM permit, and the new Sunday sales PM permit from Pecano Enterprises, Inc. to Alara Enterprises LLC be considered for approval.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Sarowski?
No, actually, I read the backup material. I don't see any issues with this. I'm fine with that. I'm sad to see, well, I'm glad that Antonio's is still going to be operated, but I'm happy that we're going to continue with that, but anyway, I'll just go with that. So I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Zarko.
Is the petitioner here? Oh, if you want to come, but the only question I have for you is if this has already been approved by the state.
Not yet. I submit all my documents by the investigator on the 23rd.
Do you mind coming to the podium just because the microphone won't pick you up from
I
there?
submit my documents to the investigator. Good evening, everybody, sorry. And it's pending. And in the meantime, I'm gonna apply for the conditional license, which is the lawyer. He thought he applied for it, but he didn't. Yeah, so I do have like about 4 to 8 weeks.
I saw, because so many times when this happens with the transfer, it's already been approved by the state, and then we just acknowledge it. So in this case, though, it's pending, and
It's
it'll be
pending.
happening. Okay,
Yeah.
that's nothing further. Thank you.
Okay.
Any question?
Council, anybody else? Mrs. Koski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair to the gentleman there, whereabouts on 14 Mile Road is your location?
It's East 14 Mile Road, 2505.
Yes, is that east of Ryan?
It's close to the Quinder.
Between
On 14.
On
Been
14
there for,
Mile.
it's been there forever.
It's under new management, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to tell the audience where your restaurant is located, and maybe a little bit about your restaurant. What kind of food are you serving?
It's an Italian cuisine. I'm keeping it as the same. I was an owner operator on Almont for 14 and a half years. I had a Coney Island and just sold it back in September. And I'm moving to Sterling Heights, which is my city. It's a better opportunity, bigger place, you know.
So Sterling Heights is your home,
Yeah, I'm
And
a
that's why-
resident of 2007, Sterling Heights.
and that's why you chose
To stay
that
in-
restaurant, and it's close to DeQuinder.
Close to the window, yeah.
And would you like to tell us your hours of operation?
I'm keeping the same hours, which is 12 till 8:30, Friday 9:30. Sunday they do 2 to 8. And they close Monday.
Anything else you'd like to add?
For now, not really. As soon as I get in, get used to the place, maybe in a year time, I'll change the carpet, change the booth. I will ask the city if there's any approval need to be done, and we go from there, you know.
You can have a ribbon cutting and invite the whole community, right?
We all like pasta.
Wish you well.
Yeah. You guys all like pasta, yeah?
Yeah, love pasta.
Yeah. I'm a good chef, you know? Yeah.
Guaranteed
I can
excellent
turn
food.
things to better.
Oh, there you
All
go.
right.
And if you need a marketing director, Councilwoman Koski is happy to volunteer.
I
Oh, I'm
appreciate
good at
that.
marketing.
Appreciate that, yeah.
Since,
We wish you well.
Thank you. All
Council-
good.
yeah.
Mr. Yanos.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Since we're going down this road, I'm curious, are you keeping the original recipes, or are you going to
I'm
have your?
keeping the original recipe, yeah. I'm keeping the whole menu the same.
Okay,
Keeping all the stuff, everything gonna stay the same,
okay.
yeah.
Same recipes.
Same recipe.
Okay, that's all I needed.
It could be better, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
Could
I
be
do, I
worse.
do stuff from scratch, yeah, a lot of stuff,
Okay.
yeah.
You said you're a good cook,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'll let
very
you
good,
know.
Yeah.
All right, very good, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Mr. Yan. Is anyone else? If not, council, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Good luck, sir. Congratulations. I'm sure we'll see you there. All right, next item tonight is to consider a request by Henry Ford II Instrumental Music Boosters for recognition as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a state of Michigan charitable gaming license. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? Come on up, ma'am.
Got clipboards.
Hey. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm the Henry Ford II Instrumental Music Boosters Vice President. My name is Joy Johnson. We had applied with the state for a raffle, small raffle, and we did get it. The timing wasn't great because it would have been wonderful if I could have gotten your approval before I got that license, but in order to do it again, I've got to get this one. So far we've sold, I think it's 66 tickets at $10 a piece. And so this is going to help bring down the cost of marching band camp along with everything else, you know, the band does. Any questions?
If we have questions, we'll call you back up during deliberation, so maybe don't go too far. If you watched the last one, we have a lot of questions. A lot of comments, too. So, no, it should, I think you're going to be fine. But I will say, I am interested to hear more about the private concert that I might win if I.
Actually, it's really cool, but it has to be within the UCS boundaries. And it's one of those, like, if I win it, I'm going to have it, I live in Macomb Township, so it would be like at Ebling Elementary, and we could invite the neighborhood. I have had a lot of people from Sterling Heights, and I'm sure they're kind of speculating as where as they want their concerts. We've kind of pitched it to some of the businesses in the area, and like we had Fantastic Sam's buy 5 tickets, and we had Rocco's Pet Supply buy a ticket. And I'm still We did move the date back to the drawing, which was supposed to be yesterday, and we did let the state know, and they issued another certificate about it. So we moved that, so if any of you would like to purchase tickets.
You might find some takers up here.
Yeah, actually, it should be really fun, and the music that they've done this year was Musica Caliente, which is all like Latin, and so, yeah, it's been really good stuff, and my daughter's a drum major, so it's fun.
All right, very good. So we'll see if anybody else has any comments, and then
Okay.
while the council's deliberating, if we have questions, we'll call you back up, okay? All right, thank you. Anyone else in the audience on this item? If not, council, we need a motion.
Mayor Taylor,
Mrs. Schmidt.
resolved that the request from Henry Ford II Instrumental Music Boosters of Sterling Heights, County of Macomb, asking that they be recognized as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of obtaining a state of Michigan charitable gaming license be considered for approval, provided, however, that this action is not an endorsement of the organization, and the city of Sterling Heights should not be listed on any promotional materials associated with their charitable gaming activities.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mrs. Schmidt?
Well, you know, I have a few words about band boosters. I was one for about 14 years, so I know how hard those band boosters work to raise money, and it really goes to the kids, and it's all about the kids. So this is a loophole that the state makes every nonprofit jump through, and I'm pleased and honored to help you help those kids. So, good luck.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Mrs. Schmidt, Mr. Radke.
Ma'am, I missed your name. Could you come back up for 1 second? Joy Johnson. Hi, Joy. Just, since I'm interested in buying a ticket, I'm sure there might be some people at home interested in buying a ticket. If they wanted to buy a ticket, how would they go about contacting you to enter in this raffle or drawing?
Check out the hf2imb.org, and that would give you the how to get a hold of the tickets.
HF2?
IMB. It's HF, the number 2,
Oh, number 2.
IMB.org.
Okay.
Yep. And it can be by cash, check, or Venmo, but it'll have the contact information on that site.
And just so I know, how many students are in the instrumental music program?
Right
at
now,
UCS?
we've got about 60. The number has been going down over the years, and this will likely be the lowest, because next year's 8th graders, I can't remember, I think there was like 30 that might be coming in. And the band will hopefully be growing from now.
I hope so.
I know.
I guess my final question is, this money is going to offset band camp and trip?
Yeah.
And if we were to raise more, would that go toward instruments, or what else would
Yeah,
it?
it's all going into the general fund. So that goes to instruments, instrument repair. It goes to feeding the kids at homecoming. It goes to, oh gosh, everything, paying for, some of the buses when they go places. So,
I appreciate volunteers like you who give their time, because this is what makes neighborhoods and cities function. I mean, we're all up here because we do the same thing, so it's very thankless. So I'm going to thank you for the work that you do.
thanks. It
And-
was a lot of work.
I believe it. And I obviously, I think we're all going to vote in favor of this, but I'm going to be buying a ticket, and I urge those
That'd be
people at
wonderful. I'll
home.
stick around to the land. to
Okay,
the end.
no problem. All I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Council, anyone else?
Real quickly, Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
So, Joy, just to, thank you, Mayor Taylor. I work at Columbia Center, where we have band camps throughout the summer.
Yeah.
As just part of, I know that Henry Ford is not one of our camps normally, but we have band camps all summer long, and I love it. And it's wonderful to have that. I take care of retired priests, but we fund our retired priests with our conference center that has band camps. So it's crazy, but that's how it goes. So thank you for what you do, and I love the band camps all the time. And so, yes,
That's cool.
so, yeah, don't leave.
You'll grab
That's
one.
all, yeah, I just wanted to say.
We did do band camp this year. We didn't do it, I think this was the first time in like 3 or 4 years that they've done it. And this year, we did go to Saginaw Valley State University.
Oh, cool.
And they were treated great, and they want to go back next year. Unfortunately, it costs so much.
It does, I know.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
This will go a long way. We're doing a lot of fundraising for it.
You have to, yeah.
Go sit down.
I'm done now, so yes, I can, yes, you can go.
It's up to you.
I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sarowski. Council, anyone else? Okay, you can sit down. Well, thank you for coming up and the presentation, appreciate it, and happy to support the local high school and local students. And if you know any good members of the band who would like to serve on our youth advisory board, I think there's still some openings there, and it'd be a good experience, and they can make a mark in their city, not just their high school. So I'm going to put a shout out that's coming up on the agenda in a couple minutes. But yeah, thank you very much. We're certainly going to approve this, and good luck to you. And I'm certain that a couple council members are going to buy some tickets, and hopefully we can get that concert right here at City Hall. Maybe, I don't know.
Tremendous.
All right, council, with no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next up is to consider a nomination to the City of Sterling Heights Zoning Board of Appeals. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, this is an open seat to a partial term ending June 30, 2026, due to a resignation of a board member. This is a council appointment, two-step process with the nomination at this meeting, if possible, and the appointment at the following. Is there anyone who has a nomination?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolve to nominate Jeff Shahab for consideration as an appointee to the Zoning Board of Appeals at the November 21st, 2023 regular city council meeting.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
Briefly, Mr. Mayor, Jeff is the current alternate. He's attended 5 meetings after this resignation to serve in this role. From all accounts, he's doing a wonderful job on the board. I'm happy to elevate him from the alternates and make him a permanent board member. I would just urge the city, I know we need to get some more candidates for these boards because we're having a smaller and smaller group to pick from every time. All I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radke. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, tonight, we have another consideration item, and this is to consider appointments to the City of Sterling Heights Youth Advisory Board. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this item? If not, council, we have 2 openings. Is there anyone who would like to make appointments?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Radke.
resolve to appoint Christopher DeJonkier to the Youth Advisory Board to a term ending June 30th, 2024, subject to the appointee meeting the qualifications set forth in Charter subsection 4.03 and taking the oath of office within 2 weeks.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion, Mr. Radke?
No, all of our Youth Advisory Board members are very highly qualified, so I appreciate their hard work.
You too. Council, anyone else? No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There is still a 1 open seat, so there's 1 more left, and certainly would love to see somebody apply. I would entertain a motion to postpone this to the first meeting in December.
So moved. Support.
So that's December 5th. It's been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes that portion of our agenda, and we will now move on to reports, or I'm sorry, to communications from citizens. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on any item that was not on tonight's agenda? Yes, ma'am?
Good evening. I'm Pat Mitchell. I live at 40811 Longhorn Drive, which is in Saddlebrook condominium subdivision. And I'm like to speak on the proposed bike path that's proposed, that's going to go behind our subdivision. I had emailed everyone, and we found out about this because one of our neighbors talked to a surveyor that was out, which it would have been nice to know something else. And I believe Mr. Yance had come out to our subdivision and saw the property and how it looks. The path that was originally proposed was going to take down a lot of trees. It's a beautiful forest there. We have deer, We have, and this is the ITC corridor, so, anyway, I guess I'm just asking that you reconsider and put this back into the ICT corridor where it will not disturb the forest or the wildlife. And I'm not opposed to the path. I use the path in Clinton River. I walk the Clinton River path there. My husband takes the bike up to 22 Mile. So, I mean, it's not like we're against it. It's just, I wouldn't want, as I'm walking, I wouldn't want to walk into someone's backyard. And that was kind of the original plan, and I'm just opposed to that, and I would like you to reconsider to make sure that this goes maybe out into the ITC corridor where there's really plenty of room for it. And other than our subdivision, I understand this is going to be going up to near Lakeside, and the rest of the whole path is in the ITC corridor, except for this one, and it's also still in the ITC corridor, but it's in this one treed area that's quite lovely, and it's a shame to ruin that. And I wish that you would consider that when these proposals come up for. Mr. Langlois did answer my email, as did Ms. Arco, but it was the only, I didn't get very many, that was the only replies I got. But I did get one from you too, Mr. Mayor, but it was just a standard, no information. Mr. Langlois did give me some information, but as I understand it, it's just proposed, and I'm asking that we reconsider to put it back into further into the green area. Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I don't have that much information. These people, look like Kyle, he's got a lot more information than me. So you want to hear from him more than me, but I'm glad we got your questions, and I appreciate your comments. Anyone else tonight? Yes, sir?
Good evening, Mayor Taylor and members of the City Council. My name is Will Frost. I work with a company called East Point Energy. We're based out of Charlottesville, Virginia, and we specialize in the development, construction, and operation of grid-connected energy storage systems. These are bits of infrastructure that plug directly into substations or transmission lines and are utilized to store energy at hours of low demand to be put back onto the grid when demand increases and greatly increase the reliability and stability of the electrical grid at large. We have an option to purchase a property on the east side of Sterling Heights. It is just across of Red Run Street from the Fieldstone Apartments, just to the east side of that transmission corridor that runs north to south there. It is an option to purchase some property there. I've had several meetings with the planning department and with Dr. Parcell here and members of his team to discuss the project and ways it will fit into the city's environment as well as the zoning characteristics of the property. We have property and the project. We have plans to continue diligence of the property as well as do a significant amount of community outreach in preparation for a special approval land use process that we'll hope to dive into with the Planning Commission sometime in the first half of next year. My reason for being here is simply to introduce myself to you all as well as my company and the proposed project that we are considering in the city. My contact information is with the planning department. If anyone ever has any questions, I'm an open book with everything I'm able to share regarding the project, and look forward to working with the city over the coming months and years in all likelihood before anything like this has the potential of being constructed. So thank you all for your service and everything you do for the city of Sterling Heights. This is probably the most wholesome meeting I've been in. I support the band as well. My parents sold my trombone when I was in high school, when I was in college, and I still don't forgive them for it. So, just
They're probably very happy though.
Yeah.
yes, yes, I'm sure there's a reason they got rid of it. But thank you all for the time, and happy to answer any questions at any point. Please reach out to the planning department for my info. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frost, appreciate it. Anyone else under communications from citizens? If not, all right, I'll close that portion, and we will move on to reports from city administration and city council. Mr. Vanderpool.
Mayor, I can elaborate some on the bike path because there has been a number of questions on that. And just by way of review, we first proposed this through our stakeholder meetings, our town hall meetings that we had about a year ago throughout the community. And one of the areas of interest from the community always is expanding our bike hike trail system and our sidewalks and filling gaps and making sure that our city is pedestrian friendly. So we're doing all that we can in that area. And we were able to secure some funding through the American Rescue Plan Act, better known as ARPA, to connect what will soon be the city's first ever town center through the Lakeside redevelopment, which you've heard a lot about that, so I won't belabor that exciting project this evening. But this idea is to connect that town center to the epicenter of our recreational activity right here, the Dodge Park Trail System, which also provides a connection to the Iron Bell Trail System, which goes from Belle Isle in Detroit all the way up to Ironwood in the UP, which is over 70% built out now, believe it or not. And we're the backbone of that right here in Sterling Heights. So we have funding secured, and we've been talking about this for well over a year now to extend one of our areas, the ITC corridor, from the Edison Court area all the way up to M59, with a spur going down the east-west DTE easement over to Lakeside. That project is planned to be under construction next year. However, as Mrs. Mitchell mentioned, it is still in the preliminary design phase. It has not been finalized yet in terms of the final design. And once we have more detailed information in terms of the final design, we'll be getting back with all the residents along the corridor to report to them and seek your feedback and so on. In this particular area, the Saddlebrook area, the pathway will be set 50 feet from the rear property line. So that's a decent buffer. When you think of 50 feet, a sidewalk, for example, is a foot off private property line. This pathway would be 50 feet, so greater than many other areas of the city where we have pathway, including the Delia Park Trailway System and other areas across the city. Now, the reason we're kind of confined in the location of this particular area because there are significant utility overhead wires and poles that are in the area that you referred to of the actual ITC corridor that we commonly know of. So we are confined in your particular area. Nevertheless, your area will have the greatest setback compared to the rest of the trailway throughout the ITC corridor. There will be buffers. We're still going to preserve trees along your rear property line, so those will not be removed. There will be some tree removal, but with all our projects, whenever we have to put in trailways and pathways and sidewalk and so on, we always replace trees, and in many cases, more trees than we take down, with trees that are more desirable, long-lasting, sustainable, and more aesthetically pleasing too. So, and that will certainly be the case here. We will try to replace anything we remove. In addition, we'll be putting up other different barriers like wild grasses and so on to shield the pathway some, but you really won't be able to see the pathway from the rear of your property lines. So just a little more information than what you've had, but we look forward to further collaboration with the homeowners association there and making sure that we address any concerns that you may have as we get closer to a final design. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I had.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Mr. Koszybski.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay, council, any reports or new business?
Mayor Taylor?
Mrs. Schmidt.
Just briefly, it's that time of year again, our annual, the DPW annual Ken Stempowski food drive is underway. 45-plus years now. They are collecting non-perishables either at the DPW building off of 18 Mile or in the Community Relations Department downstairs, right here at City Hall. So if you're out and about at Sam's Club and Costco, get those big packs of, non-perishables and drop them off. We sure would appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing further.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Schmidt. Anyone else, council?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Yanes?
Yeah, I have a few things. So while we were gone from the last meeting, I was able to attend the Michigan Sustainability Conference, otherwise known as MISCON, presented by the State Department of Energy, Great Lakes, and the Environment, EGLE, otherwise known. It was a tremendous conference, and there's a couple things that happened while we were there. And when I say we, there was actually 5 of us from Sterling Heights, and keep in mind, nobody else from Macomb County attends these sustainability conferences. I mean, Sterling Heights is really on the cutting edge of sustainability here in Macomb County. But we were recognized by Michigan Municipal League as a silver certificate city for the work that we've done. And as part of being a silver certificate recipient, Mr. Inks was awarded a Yeti. Very nice. But it also allows us to apply for a cohort that will come and work with the city to help us achieve gold status. Now, I'm told that there's more cities than there are cohorts, so we're going to have to sort of bid for one with a project. But I've been assured that because of the work we've done here in Sterling Heights, that we have a better than average chance of securing a cohort. So that was exciting news. I also spent some time with a representative from CMS Energy, that's Consumers Power, and they have $30 million that they have to spend annually on energy waste reduction, an energy waste reduction program within the area that they serve for natural gas. And we had a great conversation. I put their representative in touch with city management. I know Mr. Vanderpool said they have a meeting coming up, but we can, like our Go Green grants, we can see a significant investment in some homes here in Sterling Heights. And so that was very exciting, exciting news. It was a great conference overall. I think we all got a lot out of it. And Sterling Heights really, with as members of EGLE and other members of the state that attended there, noticed that Sterling Heights had a strong presence. So I'm very proud of the work that our sustainability team has done, as well as our employees. Let's see. I'm just trying to get in order here. So the other day, I went to Maple Lane Elementary, which is a Macomb ISD school. Maple Lane Elementary is a school for kids with what they call emotional disabilities. It is I've been working with them since 2013, helping them with backpacks and putting supplies in backpacks and turkeys at Thanksgiving and Christmas and so forth. So I stopped by to talk to them about the holiday season and how we could help. And as I pulled up, a Sterling Heights police officer pulled up, and a child come running out the door. And as it turned out, it wasn't the child that they were called for. I went into the office, I started carrying on my business, and I noticed the police officer there, then a second police officer, backup was there, and then a sergeant was there. And, there's 3 uniformed officers with, badges and guns to handle an issue with an elementary school student, and there were no weapons involved. And our officers were very professional, and they did a very good job, and they handled their situation quite quickly. But I know that we used to have a member of the Youth Services Bureau that was stationed out of that school. And even after they weren't stationed out of the school, we still had a member of the Youth Services Bureau that would spend a significant amount of time there. They call on our police officers quite a bit at that school. because of the challenging students that they have. And by the way, the staff is incredible, absolutely incredible staff, that the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. They do have a full-time social worker there. They keep a pantry there. And they deserve the support. I know we've been looking at alternative methods for response from our fire department. I certainly think that uniformed officers with the police department would really prefer to be out on the streets fighting crime and not responding to elementary school students that are having a meltdown and supporting the teachers. I really like to hear, when we do our strategic planning, from our police chief, how we can either start a program back up with Maple Lane Elementary or some other ways that we can alternatively respond to situations like this. I know we've had, when we had a social worker, and we'll have a social worker again, the social worker dealt with a number of these things, but it was sort of after the fact. And I absolutely agree that we do need to look at some alternative methods of responding as runs become greater and they become more dangerous. We really need our uniform officers focused on those things as opposed to what's going on in an elementary school. So I look forward to hearing from the city in regards to that when we do our strategic plan in January. And then well, definitely not last. I got a couple more things here. Our Indigenous Day or Native American Awareness Day, I found it, and I appreciate the fact that the gentleman came up and spoke about that. I knew that my maternal grandfather was a half Native American from Canada. I never really thought about my paternal grandmother, who was Mexican, being an Indigenous person until I got tested on Ancestry.com, and I find out that I'm actually more Native American or Indigenous than I am anything else, and I say that I'm Mexican, which I am, but I'm actually more Indigenous. And I wonder how many people out there actually have more Indigenous blood in them, and I wish I knew more about my Indigenous ancestry, and I know that's something that I'm going to pursue to try and learn more about that. So I do appreciate that recognition. The ITC corridor, I did stop by Mrs. Mitchell's neighbor and walked that site. The gentleman there told me that the surveyor was on about his 6th attempt to shoot a path. Especially at that stage of the trail, I know Mr. Vanderpool said the 50 feet, which is just under 17 yards. It looks to be about 35 or 40 yards of wooded area between their back property line and the open area of ITC corridor. And I'm really not sure why we wouldn't move closer to the ITC corridor and leave some of that wooded area there standing, as opposed to cutting trees down close to the property line. So I'm happy to hear that we were far from complete in that progress of completing that corridor, which is going to be an incredibly important connection between one part of the city and another. It's obvious as I was standing in the backyard and I was looking at the park just off of Clinton River Road, the trailhead there, and you can tell just from that view that this is really going to be an important pathway to move people back and forth to get exercise or whatever they want to do. So, but we want to make sure that the people who have invested their time, effort, and money into their homes and their neighborhoods, get to keep the benefit of that. So if we can move the line closer towards the open area, the ITC corridor, I think that would be beneficial for everybody. And then, Mr. Mayor, last but not least, I want to point out that the last Saturday was our Fall Shine Day. And I think I threw the chair to Mr. Vanderpool. Do you know how many people signed up for that? It was significant.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Yenna, it's great to see you there, and we had one of our largest turnouts probably in years. We estimated around 80 people, plus or minus a few, but it was nice to see so many youth out and so many parents and volunteers and the people whose homes were cleaned up. We're so grateful. It's really a rewarding program.
It was incredibly rewarding. We worked on a very big house. We ended up bagging 44 bags of leaves and we didn't even finish cleaning up the property. It was pretty overwhelming. But here's the thing that I noticed, colleagues, is, and I didn't think about it till after the fact, the crew that came out to help us, as well as the crews overall, were just this myriad of people. I had Muslims and Christians working side by side to clean the house of these senior ladies that live there, Catholic nuns, by the way, retired Catholic nuns. And knowing what's going on in this world, I was touched by that. You know, we always say diversity is our strength. And I don't know any place else more than Sterling Heights where that is true. We have great diversity. People came out, they took care of their neighbors. There was no differences to set aside. They had one goal, and the one goal was to work together and make our neighborhood and our city better. And I think that we have encouraged that in Sterling Heights. We continue to encourage that, and this is what makes Sterling Heights such a great city, because we do things like that, and people live here that believe in that, and I'm very proud. That day really, I'm proud to be a resident, that's why I'm up here, but that last Saturday really made me proud to be a resident of Sterling Heights, and I want to thank everybody who came out and supported Shine Day, and I look forward to seeing everyone again next spring. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Yanez. Council, anybody else?
Mayor Taylor.
Mrs. Sarowski.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. So I just have, well, that was, I want to make a comment. Mr. Yanez, that was probably the best comment, best speech comments I've ever heard from you, and I applaud you. Those were wonderful. I just have to say, so I hate to follow you on that, but here we go. So a couple of things. I do want to say, I really had a wonderful Halloween, and I'm glad that the residents came out. The weather was horrible, but we had quite a lot of kids coming out, and it was a wonderful night. Thank you to all the kids that came, all the parents that brought them, especially the teenagers that came to my door. I always support the teenagers coming out. They are still embracing their childhood. They're not rushing into adulthood, and I always think that that's just wonderful. I trick-or-treated until I was in college, probably into college, just saying, but loved it. I grew up in a very small neighborhood out in the country, so, you got to do it when you got to do it. So I did want to say thank you, and thank you for keeping the kids safe. It was a very well, everyone was very courteous and kind on the roads, and I just want to say it was wonderful. So thank you for all that. And I do have, there's a couple things going on this weekend. Of course, we did talk about the veterans and being Veterans Day. So remember November 11th, if you can thank a veteran, please do so. I have both my husband, who is retired veteran, went to Desert Storm. He's been a retired major. I have a son who's serving as a Marine. He's a major in the Marine Corps. Hopefully he'll be a lieutenant colonel soon. And I'm very proud of him, as you can tell. So please thank a veteran. It keeps our country safe and free. And then there's also a couple things going on in Dodge Park. There's going to be a cute little event going on if you have a Corgi or a Dachshund. There's a Dachshund Corgi meetup for a free photo with Santa in Dodge Park. If you have either of those two type dogs, please bring those dogs. It's from 1 to 4 in Dodge Park. It's free. You can just come up. Santa will be there. He's got a cute chair, a cute little backdrop. A very good friend of mine is posing as Santa, and he does this. He's a Santa for all the times. You'll see him at Dodge Park, Coney Island. If you ever see this guy that looks like Santa, that's the Santa. And so please bring your dog, Corgi or Dachshund. I know that we've kind of limited to those two breeds, but that's where we are. That's because this is supported by and promoted through Dachshund House Rescue for Dachshunds. So that's why it's those two breeds. And that's really pretty much all I have, but thank you all. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor Taylor.
Okay, and Teddy, if you're watching, she's kidding. That is the real Santa Claus.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
He actually knows that. He knows that guy from Poshko's
Yes,
restaurant.
yes.
He calls him Santa Claus, too.
He is Santa.
And
the real Santa. He just takes breaks during the other times of the year.
And I, too, want to echo your comments. Mr. Yanez's comments were very well put and very articulate. He talked about Sterling Heights being an inclusive city, and here you are just discriminating against dogs like mine and Mrs. Schmidt's. That's right. You know,
I
well, maybe we'll have, maybe we'll have, all the other dogs can go to the other side, and we'll see if we can get some special guests to,
I know.
I don't know. But no, that
Golden
sounds fun.
retrievers are best.
That does sound fun if you have a dachshund, or what else was it, a corgi?
Corgi.
Okay, all right.
They're a little, my son has a corgi.
The Queen's dogs.
The Queen's dogs. They're just a little, just don't ask me.
Sound lovely.
My son has a corgi.
Mr. Radke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So hard to follow, so many people with interesting events, but I just wanted to hopefully welcome any and all veterans to come join us on Saturday for our ceremony here in the Senior Center. Usually it's a 21-gun salute. It's a beautiful ceremony for veterans, for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, excuse me.
Veterans, yes.
Got reversed into my head. But it's a wonderful ceremony, and in recent years, with so many of our veterans passing on from World War II, the ceremony's gotten a little bit smaller. So I'd urge any and all veterans from any war to join us to support the cause, and I think it'll be a wonderful ceremony. All I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Radke. Anyone else? Mrs. Koski?
Thank you. Sterling Heights now is a member of National League of Cities, and I believe there is a conference coming up soon. And I'm not able to attend, but I would ask one of the attendees to do me a favor. NLC used to have a youth program, and now that Sterling Heights has a youth advisory board that is doing extremely well, I would ask that you get some information to see if that still exists. And maybe this budget year, we can maybe set some money aside and invite a member of the youth advisory to attend the next NLC conference. So what do you think, Mr. Mayor? Do you think that would possibly something that we could work on in the future for them?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
And maybe put a little extra money in there so that they can have their own chaperone, like mom or dad?
I'm not doing it.
No.
So, yeah, I think it's an idea worth exploring.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, the mayor's conference did that once. They tried to get a sort of like a youth summit going where they brought members of the community who are teens and the mayor. And so I think it's a good idea, and I think it's worth pursuing. I'm not going to be making it to National League of Cities, but I'm excited that we're part of it, and I think there's a lot we can learn as a city from that. So
I just want to let you know that they did have it in the past when we were members before, because I did bring a couple youth to the conference. So.
very good. Council, anyone else? If not, I don't have anything for tonight. I want to thank all of you who came and participated in the meeting. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported with no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.